That's why we have our next guest, Megan Hughes, ABC News correspondent. Good morning, Megan.
Good morning.
Break it down for us. What he said, no reasonable prosecutor would have brought charges. Explain that.
Right. So good news for Hillary Clinton when it comes to the legal battle, but there are a lot of really bad details in here. So ultimately, the question that the FBI director said he had to answer is, was there intentional and willful mishandling of classified information? And he essentially said they don't have the evidence that that intent is there. So that's why they're not doing or recommending a criminal prosecution. Now, keep in mind the Department of Justice still has the final say. We haven't heard the final word on that yet, though all expectations are that they will follow the FBI recommendations.
Okay, so I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I get that. What about the cover-up, the deleted emails, the not helping with the investigation, this other guy taking the fifth? So the action wasn't the guilty part, but what about the cover-up?
Now, he actually said he was pretty light on her when it came to those deleted emails. He said there was no evidence that they were intentionally deleted in an effort to conceal them. In fact, like a lot of email users, they said she was periodically deleting a lot of emails. He also talked about the process that the lawyers went through in determining and siphoning off what's a work email and what's a non-work email. And it was certainly not an exact science, unlike what the FBI did in their investigation. They read through all of the 30,000 emails that she submitted to the Department of State. They did not read through the emails. They actually did sort of a search for certain buzzwords, and then they would put them into either category, and then they batch deleted a bunch of other ones. There were a lot of other details here in just sort of the painstaking efforts. He described them as painstaking efforts that they went through, because there were multiple servers, there were multiple devices that they had to piece together all of this to get really a complete look at these emails.
I think the hardest thing people have to deal with or understand or wrap their heads around is that he says she should have known. She's Secretary of State. She's not a computer expert, but she should have known that these weren't secure and that she was getting information and sending information on an unsecured line.
Right, and those were probably some of the most damning details to come out of this. Was number one, he really contradicted a big assertion that she has made throughout this episode in saying that she never sent or received emails that were classified at the time. He said, in fact, they found 110 emails out of that 30,000 batch that did contain classified information at the time they were sent and received. He also talked about some specific program emails that he said any reasonable person, and we heard that statement replayed over and over and over again, any reasonable person would have known that should not have been on an unclassified system. And he went further saying, even though we don't have evidence that there was a hack or that any hostile actors gained access to the system, it's very likely that they could have, because she was traveling to some of the countries where we know a lot of hackers exist and would be trying to get into her system. And she was operating in a system that did not have a full-time security person, as all of the other departments in government have, which Gmail also has.
Yeah. Megan Hughes with us. James Comey, head of the FBI, is a Bush appointee. I know a lot of people are talking this is pure politics, but he's a Bush appointee. You mentioned it before. Where does this go from here? It's not over, or is it?
So it's not technically over, though I think from a practical standpoint, generally the expectation, what we've heard from Attorney General Loretta Lynch in the past, she expects that she will follow the recommendations of the FBI here. And we know that the Justice Department's goal was to have this wrapped up ahead of the party conventions, which are in 2 weeks. So I think very, very soon the Justice Department is going to look at this, and we're going to get a final determination on whether or not there will be any legal action. But that aside, I think we're hearing from Republican members of Congress, House Speaker Paul Ryan, yesterday in an interview saying he's considering having a congressional investigation into this and calling the FBI director to testify into how this investigation was handled. So certainly the political fodder is there, and we're going to be hearing a lot more of that.
Megan Hughes, ABC News correspondent. Thanks for helping us out, Megan.
Thank you.
725, Big